Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Oops. Hello, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome. Come on in. Hello, Lee. Hello, Miss Tammy, Miss Gina, Rue, Melissa. How's it going, everybody? Linda, Lee, and Miss Lois. Well, I did something. Hi, Keith. Hi, Miss Michelle. How is everybody? So is Howie in here? I have a confession. Hi, Michelle. So I got on to Restream and it said, try the new studio. So typical Libra fashion. Oh, I'll just push the button. Maybe that's Aries rising. So now the entire new studio is different. Hi, Kathy. So I guess I'm going to have to fess up to Howie after the show and say, I don't know. And I couldn't figure out how to get the old studio back. So I'm like, I'm lost. You know, when you get into habits of doing stuff, don't push new buttons. Hi, Cindy. How's it going? Hi, Michelle. Oh, man. So, like, what used to be over here is now over here. So, I'm totally lost. So, Keith, if you're getting ready to do a show this weekend or something, I've screwed this up somehow, but it's kind of fun. Look at Keith. Change. I know you and Howie are fixed signs. Scorpio and Aquarius, you don't like change. I can't figure out how to get it back. So I'm going to have to talk to Susan. Producer Susan, is she in the house? Because I pushed a button I shouldn't have. But you know what? It still shows normal, I think. It just, I can't really figure out too much. But Susan will figure it out. Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network in the new studio. The new studio. Don't tell Howie. If you guys see his name pop up, mum's the word. We're not going to say, if you see Ed Odell, nobody say a word. Whoops. Oh, what's this button do? You know what, Keith? And you know me. That's exactly what I did. And then I'm like, well, now how do I get back to where I was? So then I started pushing more buttons. And, you go from keep the Libra away from the codes. Keep the Libras out of the lab and away from the codes. We'd never need a Libra president, because it would be, oh, what's this button do? Whoops. Whoopsie. So I hope everybody's doing great on this Wednesday evening here in the States before a long weekend. I'm ready for a long weekend. I don't know about you all, but I think the energy the last 2.5, 3 weeks has just been exhausting. What do you all think? Exhausting. How's everybody doing? Miss Michelle, my mother came home from the hospital. Oh, well, honey, take care of yourself. When loved ones are in the hospital, I found that out with my mom a lot too. We let ourselves get run down. So you got to remember to take care of yourself, hon. You really, really do. You got to remember to take care of yourself. I know, that's exactly what I did. I know it said new studio. So I thought, well, but how do we get back to the old studio? Well, there's it says need help button down there. But I thought, you've pushed enough buttons for one night. Keith and I tried to have Keith's show on Monday night. It was very bizarre. He could hear me, but I couldn't hear him. So then we went over to StreamYard to try to stream from StreamYard. He could hear me. I couldn't hear him. So then he tried to get on his phone. He could hear me, but I couldn't hear him. So then Susan said, well, let's go into we'll go into the studio. Well, it's the new studio now. We'll go into the new studio. And the minute Keith went in there, he said he hit 7. And then when he got to the number 8 or something, then Keith's computer was fine. He changed his mic. He thought maybe it was his mic. And then he changed mics, and his computer said it was working, but I couldn't hear him. It was just weird. Yeah. Mercury is out of retrograde this week. So get out of, I'm tired of it, because I think it's been kind of exhausting. There's a lot of energy swirling right now. Just relax in September. Relax till the end of September, because it looks pretty good sailing until mid-September around eclipse. And then the eclipse isn't too bad. It's a lunar eclipse in Pisces. So it's what we call out of sign. But yeah, he couldn't even, it was so bizarre. I couldn't even go live on Facebook. And when I could, there was no sound. Then once 8 p.m. hit, everything started working. Do you know, I wonder if you had it on the wrong time on the Restream show. I don't know. It's just bizarre. I don't know. I'm here I am pushing all these buttons like I know what the hell I'm doing, and I have no clue. It's a tad different now, Keith, when you get into the studio. Whoops. Well, I'm hoping that when Howie goes in on his show on Sunday for the Orion effect, that it goes back and somehow it flips back to the old studio. I'll fess up. I have to fess up. So Welcome. A shout out to our wonderful sponsors who are the Ghost of Stanton, where you can go on the haunted ghost tours up at Stanton in Virginia. That's one of our sponsors. We have Dark Cabin Studios with Jacob, and we always use Jacob's music on all of our videos, our intro and our good night, our done videos, our all of our trailers. We use Jacob's music. It's all his music. He's so good and talented. So that's Dark Cabin Studios if you ever need any type of music. And Booze Paranormal. If you need paranormal equipment, Booze Paranormal. So thank you for our wonderful sponsors on Rift Nation Network. We are streaming live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So please hit the like button if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Facebook, hit the like button as well and share us out if you can. Well, I hope everybody has wonderful holiday weekend plans if you're in the States. And if you're in Canada, just say, you know what, I'm going to celebrate Monday, so I'm going to take off work. I'm going to take off on Monday because it's a holiday with all my other friends down in the States. It's like, I'm going to just declare it a worldwide holiday. So everybody just take off. I'm ready. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for cool weather. It's been 100 here. It's crazy. It was 60 last week, and now it's 100 this week. So just our weather this summer and this year has been a little bit bizarre. It's been very bizarre this year. I don't know about anybody else's weather, but ours has not been quite normal. So welcome to Mysteries Beyond the Scenes, where where true crime and astrology combine, and we assist in finding missing persons, cold case homicides, true crime at its best. Next week, I don't know if you guys have ever caught any of Ashley, the Reckoning Company YouTube videos where she uses her oracle deck, her true crime oracle deck. She is also a medium. She channels and uses her true crime. She's excellent. She's phenomenal with true crime. She designed an oracle deck, true crime deck. And I ordered one of her true crime decks, Oracle True Crimes. Of course, I ordered it during Mercury retrograde. So the deck has been sitting at my post office now for like 2 weeks. It's got a tracking number. She called the post office. It's just sitting there. So hopefully, and another deck is coming tomorrow. So next Wednesday show, we should, knock on wood, have the True Crime Oracle deck. So I'll have the deck out and we can look at the charts plus the deck. It'll be really an interesting little spin on true crime. You'll love her Oracle deck. It's all true crime related. So, Linda, what will happen is we're packing. They will. As soon as Mercury comes out of retrograde this week, they'll work out. Let's hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed for you. So let's get started, you guys. I'm going to try to figure out how to work the slideshow since I played with since we're in the new studio. Oh, there we go, new studio. So this is tonight's case is really, whenever we have a young child that goes missing, a little 3-year-old, the younger the children, they are heartbreaking stories. They tug at your heartstrings when the little ones go missing. I am probably, and girls that are from down in the San Antonio area that I'm sure you all have heard of this case in your area. If I mispronounce her name, please tell me how to pronounce her name. Her name, I would call her Lina. Keel, but I'm from Kentucky, so it would be Lina in Kentucky. But little Lina, now what's interesting about this family, her father, they are from Afghanistan, this family. Her father worked with the United States service overseas in Afghanistan. So they were given visas to travel to the United States because he worked with our service, our military service overseas on a mission. So they came over here, and if you all recall, when the Taliban took over Afghanistan again, and our 13th service people were unalived at the airport, it was just the 3-year anniversary. They were at the airport, the family, Lena's family. Thank you, Melissa. Lena and her family were at the airport within close proximity of when the things were detonated, and they made it through that. Her little Lena and her family made it through that horrific scene, and they actually made it to the States. They made it back to San Antonio. Then within a couple of months following that, Lena went missing. So, just such a horrific what they went through over in Afghanistan to get back over here, and then to have their little one come up missing. It's just very, very sad. So we'll get to her story. Let me try to figure this out in the new studio. God. Now, if you guys recall, last week we went over Mamta, who was missing from Manassas, Virginia. Mamta went missing. Our 28-year-old darling little nurse, mother, the little baby, her baby just turned a year old. She went missing. And someone came into the chat and said they found her down by the river. Well, they did not find Mamta. However, her husband has subsequently been arrested and charged with concealing a body. His bond was rejected in court this week because the judge declared him a flight risk and a danger to society. The baby is in custody with the state and apparently awaiting the arrival of her family from Nepal. Now, law enforcement testified they used, and Tammy, you probably know of this technology. It's called Blue Star technology. It's very similar to luminol, but it lights up and doesn't have when you use luminol and people try to clean up a mess, when someone is unalived with bleach, it can mess with the luminol apparently, and the light when they put the black light on it. The Blue Star technology does not. So if you use bleach and try to clean up under carpets or clean up where a homicide has occurred, the Blue Star technology is what they use now. And the technician said that she told the court that since she has done this since 2011, she has never seen the amount of blood that was in the master bedroom and the bathroom area that she witnessed when she tested with the Blue Star technology. At that time, they didn't know if it had come back tested as blood, but now since then it has come back positively tested as blood. So law enforcement is calling her unalived, Mamta. Also, the husband was a government contractor. Now, there's some people are alleging that he works in DC. possibly could work for the Secret Service. Who knows? But he was on a government laptop, which was also turned over to in the court, where he had done some Google searches on his work computer. Not very smart. Some of the Google searches were asking about the death of a spouse and et cetera, et cetera. So that was on his work computer laptop. Her phone was discontinued on the 30th. They don't know whether or not the battery or if it was shut off. However, it connected again in Loudoun County near water. So they're still searching for Mamta. The husband was spotted on cameras in Walmart on July 30th, purchasing knives, which have never been recovered. I think only one has. And then he was spotted again on July 31st, purchasing cleaning agents to include Clorox. So last night, law enforcement again was back at the home with another search warrant. So again, we still have, the map of Mamta, although we don't have any type of a timeline still. We don't have a timeline. Her phone was shut off for 2 days, and then he called her phone. His phone called her phone, like August 2nd. So it's just, they're still investigating. So we'll just have to see how this one plays out. But that's a pretty good update. They're being very transparent, which is wonderful on a case like this. Super transparent. But here's the thing. They're getting a lot of pressure from the community, not nasty pressure, but they are getting a lot of people showing up at the pressers. They're getting people showing up to do vigils. They know that this little community is supporting Mamta as her American family. So, you can say what you want, but when law enforcement, the courts, and the judges see that the public is supporting and out there, they move. I've seen they move. Things get done. But I think they have a really good law enforcement up there anyway. I guess it just depends on what area you're in and what law enforcement. They're all different. They're all different. And Lee said, did he really think he was going to get away with it? Apparently he did. Now, he was also another little tidbit of info on this case. He was driving a Tesla. Now, a Tesla will give, Tesla's like having a tracking device. Those things are wonderful. He immediately sold the Tesla when she disappeared. He sold the Tesla. So I don't know if they redo all the computers and stuff when you sell the cars. They may. I don't know. But they're lucky he didn't get out of here with the baby and passports. They're very lucky they caught him. That's my opinion, because I think he was ready to bail. He was going to sell the house. He was getting ready to bail. So he was a flight risk. And on another note of a case that we have been following, I know Gina and Rue and people in Tennessee, the FBI has placed a $50,000 reward to anyone providing information on the Sebastian Rogers case. As you all know, Sebastian has been missing for 6 months in Tennessee. He is the 15-year-old autistic boy that left his home in the middle of the night barefoot with the mysterious lights. And again, drama as usual at this case. I have never seen a case that has captured so much drama. And it's a shame because it takes away from finding the child. So, I wish people would get it together and just focus on finding little Sebastian. That would be wonderful because he needs to be found as well. So those are two pretty big, kind of big updates, with rewards that bump up to 50,000, and the FBI has put in the funding for that, which, I think we all would love to see our tax dollars go to rewards for missing persons cases. Let the FBI chip in $25,000 automatic when they take over a case. I think it would be wonderful. It's a way for our money to be spent, and because you all know, as soon as money is tagged onto that, here come the tips. Here come the tips, and people talk. I think it should be a federal law that when FBI takes over a case, they should automatically put down a $25,000 to $50,000 reward on the case. Maybe then we would get some of these solved. That's my soapbox. That's my soapbox rant for the evening. And again, you guys, we combined forensic astrology, which is like a natal chart, only we call it an event chart, where we take the event, or when a person goes missing, last text message, last phone call, on camera, when they are last spotted, the location, and we take those measurements of where the planets were at the time the event occurred, and we compose a map. And the map can be handy for searchers, can give us an idea of what's going on. The event chart will tell us the story. It's like a lot like mundane astrology, and gives us a story of what happened. So that's what we use. So let's get to Lena's story on December 20th, 2021, down in San Antonio, Texas. Isn't she? I mean, what a doll baby. Little Lena was 3 years old. Again, her family came over from Afghanistan. Her daddy worked with the military overseas and was granted, he and the family were granted immigration visas, which I think are absolutely wonderful. Again, they escaped the bombing that occurred over in Afghanistan 3 years ago, and they survived the blast and returned to San Antonio. So what had happened on December 20th, little Lena, and I'm going to show you guys this playground. Now, when I first looked at this story, I thought, what in the world is a 3-year-old doing out on a playground by herself? I wouldn't have let my 3-year-old out on a playground, but wait till you see this playground. Now, from what I can gather, and if you guys that are familiar with this case, please kick in any information you've got to share with the group. This is where all the kids would go. And a lot of the mothers would watch out of their windows and keep an eye on the kids that were at the playground in this apartment complex. Okay. Now, this is one of the last reported videos of little Lena playing out at the playground. Now, as you can see, there's a fence, but again, around the playground is another fence. So, I mean, I guess if my house or my apartment had a fence like that, the black fence around the apartment, and then another fence, and then another fence around the playground, and moms would watch their kids, you would think they would be fairly safe, right? There's the fence around the little playground. Now, I would think if I were a mother that my child would be very safe in that area. But a 3-year-old could get out of a fence in a heartbeat. They could. So I guess this particular video, I'll take you back. Okay, this particular video, it's very bizarre. This was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And this video shows Lena walking out of the fenced area. That's the last she is seen on any camera. It's the last she is seen on any camera. The details of this case are very, very sparse. I mean, there's not a lot of information on this case. Okay, and Tammy's going to weigh in on some information. The mom would keep the door open, which was very close to the little fenced area where they would let the doggies into. Okay, so, mom was right there. Mom was right there. And mom said, she turned her head for a moment. She saw the kids, went to do something. We don't know what she did or if she left. They didn't report on that. But mom's eyes were not off the child for that long, so to speak. That was a little after 5 o'clock, around that time. So police were called, and around 7 o'clock that evening, and 7:15 p.m., the Amber Alert was issued, okay? She wasn't left alone. There were a lot of other children at the playground. They reported her missing, and the Amber Alert was issued. Now, apparently, from what I could gather from the reports, the entire community came out in force in 2021 to look for this child. And, this was around, was it COVID time yet? Sure. Wasn't it? Yeah. So they searched by foot, by air. They asked the FBI for assistance. Officers went door to door to each apartment. There are 300 units in this complex. And, okay, here's what Melissa said. Mom went in to get a bottle of water for Lena. There you go. So, and how long would that take? Yeah, in the paper I've got, it says, Tammy, that they issued the Amber Alert at 7:15 p.m. That was from maybe the San Antonio newspaper. Is there a San Antonio Times, I think? I'm not sure. I would feel very secure leaving my children in a double fenced-in area. I would. Okay. Officers checked videos, cars, dumpsters, and nothing. The family has been cooperative. Apparently, Dad has taken a lie detector test, and they have cooperated. And that was back in 2021. She has never been found. So as you can see, there were billboards, everything. I mean, there was no lack of getting people out to search for her. They searched everywhere. Yeah. Amber says they issued Amber Alerts for her. I was in Texas a few hours from there and got it. Yet from the paper that I have, Amber, by the time the mother called, the police got there, the Amber Alert went out at 7:15 p.m. and that's when it was issued. So, by the time the police got there, and if she was missing a little after 5, you would have gone around and looked for her. So, you wouldn't have called the police immediately. You would have thought that, let's go find her. She's wandered off. That's what mothers would do. So by the time they realized she was gone, if someone took her, they would have known to the family and neighbors. Everyone watching would have noticed someone. Everyone watching would have noticed someone different. Right. Well, here's another thing, though, Michelle. Think about this, you guys. Maybe, what time was it? It was dinner time. It was at dinner time. So that's a hard time where people were eating. I mean, people were having dinner around 5, 6 o'clock at night. So, and you've got a bunch of little children running around, in this area. Kathy said, Lena lived right up the street from me. Yes, there were. Were there other children out there while she was there? Yes, there were. Yes, there were. Other children were out there. Now, I'm sure they talked to the other children. You can see her walking. This is the last video of little Lena, and she walked out on her own accord and walked away from that fenced in area. And she lived right up the street from Kathy. So she walked away from that area. I mean, they have searched everywhere. Yes, Gina, there was. That was in another publication that a camera was off for about 15 minutes. Yeah, 18 minutes. That was on another publication that the camera that had captured her went off and then it went back on. Now, my Ring phone, my Ring camera would only turn on. You can set Ring cameras and cameras at your home to either go off a couple of, like, every 15 minutes, every 10 minutes. So maybe that timer was set on that camera. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Kathy's weighing in. If you look closer, she was being called by somebody that was I'm assuming kneeling. Okay, kneeling. So if she was being called over by someone and you can see her walking away clearly from that fenced area. If she was being called away by someone, somebody that knew her, somebody that knew the child. So Kathy says that if you look closer, she was being called by someone that was kneeling. Interesting. How do we know they were kneeling? Can you see the person? Kathy, can you tell? It's an interesting case. There's a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions on this case. It's a very strange case. And I mean, to me, there's so much evidence to go by. It's like, how many cars left the area within that amount of time? Who was, they went door to door to 300 apartments. Did they go in? I mean, it's just bizarre. So I did the astrology chart, and it's super. This chart was pretty spot on. When we do, and I know Rue would probably say this too, when you do an event chart or do a chart for a missing person, when that chart hits. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but I know when a chart is spot on. I just know it. I know when that chart is accurate. I know it's accurate. So this particular chart, Lena is down at the second house. When you have a child it's a baby, like 3 or under, The moon is what we look at. We don't look at the ascendant. We look at just the moon for a baby or a smaller child. We look at the moon. Clearly, straight up, out in the open in the 10th house, Lena is caught on film. Right up to Neptune. Right up to Neptune in the 10th house. What's interesting, the perp. Now, this is what the perp is in the sign of Sagittarius. Now, this came straight out of my book when on a description of the perp. Can be overweight, brown hair, possibly obese, brown muddy complexion, high forehead, large belly. And belly is the word. That came right straight out of a book on a description. Also, the sun is in the house with a perp. Now, you guys have seen enough of these charts that I've done. The sun is an older man. So it's an older, overweight man with brown hair, possibly obese. High forehead, large belly. There's your perp. You can also see Mercury is in there, connected to the moon. They communicated with her. There you go. There you go, Kathy. They communicated with her. Anything that aligns up to any of Lena's, any aspects that go back to the moon down to Lena, we look at those. So that line Mercury means communication. Now, what's interesting about this case is I think she's going to be found because everything's up at the top of the chart. When we have things up around the 10th house, the 9th house, she's going to be found. Now, 9th house traveled onto some kind of a major thoroughfare or a larger type of a highway. So if she was lured into a home, she was not in there long. That's what I said, a car. Mars could be a car. Mercury could also be a car. They should have checked every single car that went out of that place. Every single solitary car. Also, what's interesting that matches up, and I racked my brain on this one, is a female, Venus. Venus in the 8th house. What's the 8th house? The 8th house would be help with a psychic. There's a female psychic or a medium that has been communicating with Lena that's going to help solve this case. She's hooked up with Lena. That's in the 8th house. So it's just a really, where I'm stumped, where I'm really, really stumped is Lena is in the 2nd house. The 2nd house has to do with money. Now, I'm not saying Lena was trafficked or sold by any means. I'm not saying that at all. But here's the thing. Lena, there had to be with money involved with this. Okay. Now, Kathy's going to weigh in. There were 2 teenagers that were not questioned that saw everything. Why weren't they questioned? Look at Keith. Keith is funny. I don't know where there's a lady with the burgundy dress and light hair. Where is that at, Linda? Everything you're saying is right on. I know Melissa doesn't mind me saying she had the same information and she has talked with Lena. Medium. Yeah, Melissa is a medium in the chat. So it's, you know, and Rue will tell, you know, Gina has done crime charts as well, forensic charts. we don't make up what the planets are and where they're at. Venus is usually pretty weak in forensic charts. It usually means a female. Luxury items in the second house, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a female. 8th house is, very well could be, could the money be related to the reward for finding her? Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And you know what? I never thought about that. Thank you for bringing that up. You're right. There is and this was surprising to me. There's a $250,000 reward to lead to finding little Lena. That's a gigantic reward. So perhaps that could be it. Absolutely, it could. And I never thought of that. Okay. They were not asked, yet they talked to someone else. Well, they should have gone to the FBI if they saw something. Why didn't they go? Why didn't they go? I'm seeing it in the picture. Oh, that's little Lena in the little Lena's in a skirt, in her little red skirt. Little Lena's in a little red skirt. So we'll go through the chat. Does anybody else have anything they want to weigh in on? I don't understand, Kathy, if some 2 teenagers saw something, why they have not gone to law enforcement or to the FBI. I don't understand. And 2 teenagers not jumping on, I hate to say this, but a $250,000 reward and 2 teenagers are holding back information. Oh, it's crazy. Clearly see a lady with her back towards us. I don't know which picture. Okay, one of the tarot cards I got during a reading on perp energy was King of Pentacles reversed. Crazy, Amber. See, that's crazy. And King of Pentacles is a dark-haired, dark-skinned person. They're dark. King of Pentacles reversed. That's dark, or dark hair. I believe those teenagers did talk to the FBI. They talked to me while Melissa and I were there. Well, it just seems like they're, I don't know about you guys, but it just seems like to me there's a lot of too many unanswered questions that the FBI should be providing. I mean, to me, it just seems like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? I just think that it should be, there's just too many unanswered questions on this one. Just too many. Okay, here you go, Linda. Linda, that's the little girl. That's her red dress. The news reporter even got a similar dress for my dog to search. Yeah, that's her. Linda, I'll show you. It's her little dress. Okay. I just think, there you go. Is that who you see, Linda? Kathy, they were told not to. Tammy, who I'm talking about, Jesus, one of those women that doesn't know how to keep quiet, likes to brag. Oh. Tammy, I think the FBI on one certain suspect is hurting. Yeah, that they seem to do that, don't they? Sometimes that happens when they get tunnel vision on a case. I think that happened in Delphi. Sometimes they get too bogged down with one case and then one suspect, and then um, and then you know they miss out. They see tunnel vision. You know, somebody's talking too much, and she knows the teenagers were told not to talk. Well, and Gina, the thing about that is, could it have been one of those cameras that my Ring camera was? The only time it would come on is when there was movement. My Ring camera would come on when there's movement. Other than that, it wouldn't work. Or you could set it to a timer to record like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. Could that have been it? And you can see her walk out of the picture. And, and then it no, not to my knowledge. A car could be Mars or Mercury, and Mercury is in Capricorn. So if it were a van or a car, I mean, I don't know a van in a chart. If Mercury would be the car, Capricorn would be black. But I that I don't know. If that's it. If or Mercury could be he communicated. Mercury can be communications, it can be a vehicle. But Capricorn is black. And we've gone to the police. They just need enough to get a warrant. Well, and that's very surprising, Melissa, because I think it was somebody, Gina, within the community. Is that right, girls? It was somebody within the community, their camera. So the fact of the matter is, they don't want to, the community doesn't want to talk. Well, and I guess that would frustrate law enforcement as well. It was a Ring camera. They didn't release this video until a year after she went missing. Why? Once again, this has just got the tones of Delphi written all over it. Why wouldn't you release that camera? I mean, why wouldn't you release that footage? What was it hurting? Once again, we're going to hold on to footage for a year. Makes no sense. If a child's missing, you release whatever you got immediately. Why wouldn't you release the camera footage? That's crazy. Family was blamed from the beginning. The hate from that makes no sense either. Wow. That's a shame. Did they move out? They probably had to move out. That's a shame. Isn't that a shame? That's crazy. And law enforcement looks at the family immediately first. That they have to. And I think everybody understands that. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Very, very sad. Release everything immediately, or release what you have. And even, I think, even with the Sebastian Rogers case, where we have that mystery car that pulls up at 3 a.m., clearly it is headlights that pull up, and they're trying to tell people it was a garbage truck, when clearly there's lights walking through a backyard. I mean, it's almost like they treat us like we're ignorant. I mean, it's crazy. They just focused on the father. Well, that's a shame, because then the real perp probably got away. Then the real perp probably got away with it. A beautiful young child. No arrests have been made, no persons of interest. And that's the chart. Melissa, down to the description of this perp, to the location of all of it, was exactly what Lena gave me when Tammy messaged me. Well, and the thing about it is, Melissa, it's under Sagittarius. So I looked up the description of Sag. So, it's Sagittarius. So it's like, it's right out of a book. I can't make up a description. I wouldn't say large belly. I wouldn't say large belly. I took that right out of the book. I might say protruding stomach. Well, it's different, Melissa, on an event chart. The person is not a per se Sagittarius, but the perp is Sagittarius. But it's not per se his zodiac sign, the perp. And Kathy said, Linda father hangs around another apartment complex 2 blocks from my house. That's crazy. Does anybody else have anything they want to weigh? Well, on this case, father had 8 wives. I would think that's a rumor. 8 wives. 8 wives. A big belly. That's funny. But you guys, that is, if anybody has any information on finding out where this little child is, she's just a doll, please call the FBI with any information on this case. Please, please, please. Call the FBI on little Lena, missing since 2021. She needs to be brought home to her family. But you guys, that's the case for this week. If anybody has any more information, please get with Miss Tammy and Miss Tammy and or Melissa, and any information, please feel free to give. You can call and be anonymous. If you don't want to call and leave your name, be anonymous. Give the tips. Find this child. It's not right. She needs to be brought home. So you guys have a great holiday weekend. We have a September 17th lunar eclipse coming up. And as usual, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in while I try to figure out how to get out of this new studio. But thanks so much. And next week, you guys, we will have the Oracle True Crime Oracle deck. So hopefully I'll have the camera hooked up so that when I'm shuffling the cards, you'll be able to see the Oracle deck as well. Because I'll point that like down to where I'll be shuffling the cards. So, oh, you are more than welcome, Miss Gina. You are more than welcome. I try. I wish we could find them all. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And listen, have a great Labor Day weekend, a long weekend. We will have another case next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Keith and I will be on, I think, next Monday, because we weren't on this Monday. So we'll be on the Otter's Den Monday night at 8 p.m. for another show on Monday night. And thank you guys so much. Have a great, great holiday weekend. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a